Greetings, Patrick here at Cheetah Wheel View, 8 questions with, and welcome to the show. All right. It is actually pretty decent weather here in southeastern Michigan today. We are showing 40, 48 degrees, which is not that bad really for us. Um, Pretty warm, really. So tonight, being the middle of the week, we are happy to have as our special guest tonight, actor Galen Howard will be here with us in about 15 minutes or so. And I met Galen through our mutual friend Mike Ferguson, who popped up and said hello on the last time Michael was here. So I said, would you like to come onto the show and talk to us? And he said, yeah, that sounds like a fun time. And so I'm glad to say that Galen agreed to come onto the show. Um, so yeah, it's gonna be a fun show tonight. I'm sure we're gonna enjoy talking to Galen. He's got an extensive career. His career is off the chain. Um, he's got over 100 credits. Just amazing. Hi, Jaden. Hi, T. Betty. How are you? Glad you guys are here. Uh, Yeah, this is gonna be a fun show tonight. It was a fun show last night too. If you missed it, highly recommend going back and watching our interview with actress Alejandro Norris. Um, wow, she's got a really bright future ahead of her in with her acting. I mean, she's just such a lovely person. She's she's drop dead gorgeous. She's not afraid of tigers. She's not afraid of cheetahs. Um, just all around really cool person to talk to, and highly honored that we were her first interview. um that's a lot of fun talking to people for the first time. I gotta tell you, now we won't have that with Galen has been around for a while. He's got a very extensive career, like I mentioned, and he's got his fingers. He's appeared in the MCU. He did a guest spot on Agents of Shield. He also did a guest spot on the Star Wars universe, and he did the Book of Boba Fett. Now, those two series are very hard to get into. And there's the lovely Gory B movie. She'll be coming on tonight at 10 o'clock after me. So she will go ahead and she will be running about upcoming horror films this year. And of course, we will be teaming up with Gory and Danny on the 15th of January, as I will be joined by John Grande, Gory, and Danny. We will be talking about The Strangers here at 8 o'clock on Sunday. And then at 10 o'clock, we're all going to run over to Gory's house, and then we're going to cover The Strangers Pray at Night. That's right. It's all about Brian Bertino. It seems like I've been doing a lot of Brian Bertino movies lately, but why not? They're great. I can't wait either. This is going to be a lot of fun. Um, there's even a slim rumor has it that the Bat might make an appearance on the 15th. Um, we really hope so. The Bat will be here on the 15th to talk about The Strangers. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Last one in the gory hole is a rotten egg. Well, luckily for me, I have a cheetah, and he will beat everybody there, and he's acting as my proxy. uh, so, uh, Speaking of upcoming movies, of course, our friend Galen Howard here, he's got some upcoming movies as well too. He's been really busy. He's got 5 upcoming projects coming up. One looks really cool. We're going to talk to him about this, called Whispers and Shadows. And also, there's also another movie he did called How to Kill Your Coworkers and Get Away with It. uh, I'm not going to comment on that one. I'm just going to leave that one. I'm going to let that one lie right where it's at. Hey, Anthony, how are you? All right. So you saw old dude vampire in the house. Hell yeah. How about old dude Jedi warrior? I love old dude vampire. That's right. And Anthony saw Galen in the Boba Fett. That's tight. That's so cool that someone saw him in that. Being that Disney Plus is a streaming services and I don't do streaming, I was not able to see that. But good to know that someone saw him and really liked it. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited to hear that. I hope you stick around, Anthony, and we'll be talking about that too. Um, it's pretty hard, actually. You know, you go out for movies and TV shows like Star Wars or the MCU, and it isn't just quite, it's not quite as easy to get onto those shows as one would think, because of the high pressure and the high demand. Everybody in Hollywood wants to be in an MCU movie or a Star Wars movie at this particular time. If you're an actor, a character actor, or any actor, new actor, you want to get on these shows, but it is hard. I'm sure Galen will tell us about that. Um, oh, dude, Jedi. We, you know what, we're gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to put together a list of my warriors to go over to the fight night. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put together 16 badasses, and I'm gonna send them over to the glory hole to do battle. Uh, and That's gonna be a lot of fun. Hey, Playtendo guy is here. Hell yeah! Killer Dolls this Sunday. That's right. Killer Dolls. You got Annabelle. You got Heidi. You got oh gosh. You got Chucky, of course. You got Talkie Tina. Also Killer Doll. You got the Dolls in the Doll Factory. That's an underrated movie, by the way. Heidi, the Zuni. That's the champ right there. That's the champ right there. Valerie 23, from Valerie 23 from the Outer Limits. There you go, Anthony. I got my Outer Limits. I got my Outer Limits in. The Eve of Destruction. There's Eve 23. I think that was it. Let's see, the Valerie 23, and there was Eve. That was actually an early role for. No, I don't think that was Natasha Henstridge that did that. It was somebody else who did the Eve of Destruction. It was her and uh that that's right. Maybe we'll get that. You know, that's my one thing for 2023. If I could get one thing, if I could just get one wish, it would be that someone take the Outer Limits, clean it up, make it really pretty, and then release that. Because the first two people in line to buy it would be me and Anthony. We would be the first. Gory be right behind us. Betty, Playtender, we'd be all there. Take my money. Take my money. Uh, so Galen has been well known for his. He's got a very recognizable face, which is really good. He's got, you know, this is a character actor that's really in demand. There's a lot of character actors that are like that. As soon as you see them, in fact, I think someone actually wrote a book. I want to say it was Stephen, the guy who played Ned in the in Groundhog Day. I want to say his name is Stephen Root, but I don't think that's it. I think it's Stephen Trobosky. He played the evil guy in Garfield, but he has a face that when you see it everywhere. Richard Lynch was another character actor. As soon as you saw a movie, you saw Richard Lynch in it, you knew who he was. You just knew, like, oh, I know that guy, because he did over like 100 movies. So Galen Howard is very much like that. I mean, you see him in a movie, and you go like, oh shit, okay, and it's sort of like recognizing an old friend when you get a character actor that has been in so many movies. Yes, thank you so much. I just couldn't understand I couldn't remember if that was totally his last name, if I was going to kill his last name or not. But whenever you see Stephen Tobolowsky, you know him. If it's like you're watching the movie, you're not really sure about it, and then you see him, and then you go like, oh, okay, I can relax a little bit because he's here and I know him, and it's like an old friend. And I really do appreciate character actors that are like that. Um, because they pretty much know good movies, good roles by the time they get them. Michael Berryman is another well-known character actor that, and he's also not only the good, strong character actors, but they're elevators. Um, Whenever you see them in a movie, it elevates the movie up a little bit. It gives it a little bit more punch because you know him or her, and I think it really, really helps as far as the viewing experience goes. Um, and Galen Howard is like that. As soon as you see his face, you go like, okay, I know this guy. This is gonna be a good movie. It's gonna be a good TV show. I'm in safe hands. And you know that I think that as far as that goes, I think that's a really good place to be. I mean, it really. I mean, you're always in demand. You're always working. And, you know, you're not going to be wondering when the next job's going to be. It's going to be which job do you want to pick from. And I think that really is. I think I don't know. I mean, versus a leading role. I mean, yes, of course, the money and the fame, maybe per se. But as we know from talking to a lot of these actors here on Eight Questions with, fame and money are does not really drive very many people here. It's the work. They just want to work. All the everything else comes will come with it. They just want to. What am I doing now? What am I doing next? They always want to just keep moving forward as far as work, and that's why a lot of times you go to these character actors. You just go to the IMDb page, type in like Steven's name right here or Galen's name. They're all over 100. They're all over 100 credits. Some are 150, some are 200. They just want to work, and I really like that. I really respect that. Um, and I thank them, and I actually I thank them too because of their work, they cause everything to be elevated, and I really do appreciate that. Um, Thank you, Andre. Hey, Echo, how are you? Um, all right, Echo is here watching an ITN movie. The Echo side will also be on tonight. Wow, that is gonna be tough viewing. Um, gonna have to it's gonna have to. Good thing I have two browsers. I could watch the Echo side, and I got to watch Gory B movie as she talks about upcoming horror films of 2023. That is gonna be a good. That's gonna be a good show. Um, And of course, this Sunday, like Gory mentioned, she will be talking about Killer Dolls at 10:15 on Sunday. Me on the Midnight Society, I will be talking Red Bins. I did Red Bins last Sunday. Everybody seemed to like it, so we're bringing back the Red Bins. I got, I got bins full of movies I have not watched, um, and so I will be bringing them on. And yeah, let me see. Make sure he's all right here. All right. Um, Let me go over the calendar real quick while I get a chance before our guest gets here. Um, so tomorrow night we will be having on Thursday tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We'll be hosting a screenwriter and a librarian. Um, Richard Pierce will be here with us. He is a very prolific screenwriter. He wrote and sold 6 screenplays last year, um, and he is off to a good jump this year. We will be talking to him about his career and how he stays so prolific. Um, it's really cool because between Spider Dabrowski and Richard Pierce, a couple of really young, hungry screenwriters are writing. They just love to write. They like to create. They like to write the movies that we're watching. And so we'll be talking to Richard tomorrow at 8 o'clock. That's gonna be a fun show. Sunday we have a double header here on the show on the channel. First off, I have a special 8 questions with interview with Kevin K from Tuber Chat. He'll be here at 3 p.m. on Sunday. On Sunday at 3 p.m., I'll be interviewing Kevin K. Kevin was our second guest here on the show. He was our second guest. It's taken me all this time for him to come back and do another show. We'll be talking about all things YouTube, since he knows more than he's forgotten more than I know about how YouTube works. He'll be here, and then of course the Midnight Society, 8 o'clock. We'll be doing Red Bins again. All right, everybody loves Red Bins. On the 10th of January, Tuesday the 10th, will be actor and competitive athlete, bodybuilder Kevin Caliber will be here with us on the 10th. He's a stuntman, actor, and like I said, he's a competitive bodybuilder. And yeah, that guy, he's chiseled. That guy looks like he's been chiseled out of marble. But we'll be talking to him about his career, all of them, because he's got a lot of different types of careers he does. We'll be talking to him on the 10th. On the 11th, we're talking to actress Lexi Baca. Alexis Baca will be here with us next Wednesday on the 11th at 8 p.m. And if you've seen her on my upcoming lives, you can see that she's a beautiful actress, and she will be a lot of fun to talk to. And she will be here next Wednesday. By all means, go ahead and take a look at all the shows that are coming up, and hit the notification. Say notify me. Hit the notify, so when you know when we go live, you can come over and hang out with us. Okay, and then on the 12th of January, I will be joined by special co-host Katie. Katie from Popping the Popcorn. She'll be joining me as we interview director, filmmaker Jake Jolly, whose latest film I was turned on to by Katie, called Clay Zombies. Clay Zombies is an absolute hoot. Ohio filmmakers have got it going on. They make some really fun movies. Jake Jolly is one of those filmmakers. We'll be talking to him about Clay Zombies. I just found out yesterday that Clay Zombies is actually, you're able to buy copies of Clay Zombies on Blu-ray. So I'm so happy, because a lot of times it seems like when I talk to a lot of these independent filmmakers now, all their stuff is going to streaming only. So it's good. I mean, interview wise, it's good. But afterwards, when you want to go ahead and get a copy for your collection, not so good. But this is good news, is that you can buy a copy of Clay Zombies, and I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. All right. The 15th, like I mentioned, we will be on the Midnight Society. We have a whole night of Brian Bertino with you, as we are covering The Strangers here. And then we're over at the Gory Hole. We are covering The Strangers Pray at Night, and we'll be joined by the Bat and John Grande from Grande's Graveyard here. I don't know if Gory's going to have special guests on her channel. I should have asked her that. If you're here, Gory, are we having special guests? But I don't know. Could be a surprise to me too. All right, let's put our hands together and welcome in our guest. Because he's here, and I'm about to go get him. So let's put our hands together and welcome our friend Galen Howard.
There we go. There it is. Yeah.
He's in the show.
Yes. How's it going, man?
Good. Nice seeing you again.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I know. Mike Ferguson stuck me onto his appearance on this one, so here I am. Full. Unfiltered. Whole thing.
Yeah, I'm glad. Let me get rid of that here.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, Mike. That was fun. That was a good interview.
Yeah. No, I'm glad he introduced us. Yeah. Because excited to have another little convo.
I was talking about you before the show, and before you got here, and I was talking about your credits and your body of work, and
Sure.
You got one of those faces that like when people see you in movies, it's like seeing a family member. It's like seeing an old friend. It's like hell yeah, and you think so. And the thing is, though, you know right away that you go like, well, if he's in this movie's gonna be decent. You know, it's not, you know, it's gonna be fun. Because I mean, you just know that it's a familiar face. You know that they're gonna work hard. You're gonna get the best performance, and to me, I love character actors. I mean, I'm so hyped. I mean, my favorites are all character actors.
Same. No, I mean,
Yeah.
that, same. Especially I know you like we both like a lot of the cult films, a lot of the B movies, and all of that. And those are the ones you always look for are all the character actors. All the action, all the action movies, everything. It's all the character actors. Who are like fifth on the call sheet. Or the guys who have like one scene or something, the random henchman in like a 70s, a 70s exploitation flick or something, all those guys, but all those guys from the 80s, like, Tracy Walter and, all those,
Yeah.
all those great guys, of course, like Harry Dean Stanton and all those people. I mean, those are the people I looked up to because, I could relate to them. I couldn't relate to, I mean, I love the A-listers. I love like Robert Redford and Paul Newman and, Bruce Willis and, these people, but I can't relate to those people.
No.
It's like, I see the guy who's getting beat up by Bruce Willis. And I'm like, yeah, I relate to that guy.
Right. I mean, and the thing is, so you're sitting there like one of mine, and I mentioned him during mentioned that one of my very favorite character actors, and I used to watch him. Anything he did, I was there for it. Was Richard Lynch.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh my. Now I didn't know. When I always knew him as just a straight character actor. Like I didn't know until after I got a little older and I found out that he was being groomed to be a leading man, but he had a tragic accident, and then that basically took him to character actor.
Yeah.
But he was everywhere.
Yeah,
He's everywhere. And the thing about it is, I was like, well, that tells you one thing. Like I was looking at your credits, and you have over 125. So that tells me one thing. It tells me that you are in demand. People want you and their project.
Sure, definitely. You build a reputation, and I think I'm much, I think you don't generally you don't go into this for the fame or the glory. You go in to get the work. You want to be well known among among the other people in your business, the people who can keep famous enough to keep working. And
right.
Have enough of a reputation that you can bank on the next job. At least most of the time.
Okay. I'm not sure this is you let me know if this is a straight question or not.
Sure.
But Sally Westbrook is here and has a question for you.
Okay.
What do you do after you get someone pregnant?
Depends on the situation. I don't know. Hello.
I just saw that they just popped up there going like, okay, either this is just someone trolling us, or this is someone actually like maybe it's a comedian friend of yours. Huh?
Or someone in a situation.
That's a good one. That's a good
Hey, I'd
well, you know what?
I wouldn't know, but
well, that leads me to a great question, and thank you for that, Sally. Thanks for the segue. Have you ever played a doctor?
If I ever played a doctor, no, I haven't. I haven't played any character like that. I usually play characters who you probably wouldn't trust with a knife.
Well, some doctors, like you could actually probably fit in there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's roll back to the back because you've had such an interesting career, but I want to go back to the beginning of it
Yeah.
because we need to. Where were you born and raised at?
I was born in Davis, California, up north. Just outside of Sacramento County.
Um, yeah. I lived in a small town by there.
Okay.
I'm not sure how small it is
So like
now.
in the valley in the
About,
in
I think we were probably like, I think it's probably like 45 miles south of,
yeah.
because Davis is about 45 miles outside of Sacramento. And
It's about like it's about like 20 miles. It's about like 20 miles from Sacramento, and then about like and then about like 60 miles from the Bay, 50, 60 miles from the Bay.
I used to live in Dixon.
Mm, yeah, yeah. I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Dixon's very close by. Yeah.
Now, is there any more open space between Dixon and Sacramento, or is it all urbanized now, all developed?
Mm, I mean, there's a lot of that area that's been built up, like woodland and that sort of thing. You know.
I haven't been there in years, so I was just
Yeah.
curious if do you ever go back?
Sometimes. Yeah. Um, I'm actually up here in Davis right now, having for the holidays.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on the other side of the storm, so we just kind of we had it got a little we're supposed to have a little bit of a storm tonight, but it gets but yeah, the weather's been a little up and down, but no, it's a beautiful area.
Now, like are you well known in Davis? I mean, do they write, if people know you from being there? Small time, small time
I
guy,
have my stomping
big.
ground more than anything. I mean, I know, there are like people who, like I just saw like the friend of mine who owns the local record store in Davis. And so like, and that was like a spot I used to come into when I was a kid, so like there are people who who are familiar with me that I've known for years. And then they've kind of, seen some of my credits and that sort of thing. So that's, it's fun for them, that
Uh,
sort of thing, to have, to know someone who's, done this or that, and oh, I saw you on TV or something like that. So that's fun, you know.
because sometimes because small towns they really love the fact that because I see that here where I'm at. If there's
Yeah.
a actor that ends up in a movie or whatnot, it makes the newspaper or whatnot. And I'm just thinking with you coming from Davis, I mean, you might be the biggest star to come from Davis.
Trying to think. Yeah, yeah, and
I
yeah.
just
I mean, probably. I mean, with my credits, yeah. I mean, certainly, certainly up there in recent memory. I think there's a handful of folks, and then a lot more. And then a number of people from outlying areas. A lot of number of people from Sacramento, and I kind of split my time. I lived in Davis, but I split my time between Davis and Sacramento. Yeah.
oh,
So yeah.
you got your start there.
Yeah.
Where did you because honestly, I'm just trying to think of Sacramento and whatnot, and I really don't know anything about the industry up there. Was there a good movie and theater industry up in that area?
There was some good theater. There was some good theater. I mean, it's like a lot of smaller towns where I think there are a handful of people trying to get their own projects going, and then there will be some occasionally a larger movie will come through, but there's not really. I mean, there's not really there wasn't a movie studio or anything like that. I think there would be a lot of like regional commercials that would shoot out there, that sort of thing. It was it was more it was on a more occasional basis. I mean, there definitely was some work that would come through, but it was kind of it was here and there. You know.
So where did you start first? Did you start in the theater first, or and when did you know that that's what you wanted to do, is become an actor? I mean, what was the it's not something, like I said, it's not something you would think people think about too much up in that area. Like, they may say they want to be an actor, but it's like, where do you go to get your start or training or anything like that? Was that accessible to you when you first started out, or?
Um, yeah, it was. There was a lot of theater, going out. So I did outside of right out of high school. I did a fair bit of theater, and that sort of thing. And that was just the outlet, the primary outlet up there. And then I did some short films and things like that. If I would drive over to the Bay Area and shoot little indies and that sort of thing, short films, a few very independent features, that sort of thing. But yeah, I did a lot of theater, both community and equity theater, and that was really where I kind of carved my sharpened my teeth, so to speak.
What was your favorite role to play when you're cutting your teeth?
Man, I mean, I loved all the, I loved like the weird stuff. I loved the kind of the gritty stuff. I think I did a production of like Waiting for Godot and things like that. I love like the real weird cerebral stuff. I liked there was I did a play by Neil LaBute called The Distance from Here, which is which is a very like kind of hard edged kind of kind of delinquent youth kind of play, and that was a lot of fun. Things like that, just things that are kind of work that's a little uncomfortable, disturbing. I've always kind of gravitated towards that kind of thing. I'm not like looking to do one more production of Noises Off or Harvey. I'm always like interested in like the weird stuff.
Yeah, so I guess the next question was pretty much already you answered, but I mean, as far as theater goes, do you still do any theater work while you're in between projects?
Things have come through. If there's an if there's an interesting opportunity, if there's something that I absolutely have to, that I absolutely have to be a part of, I'll get into that. I've done, I've done, I've done some kind of experimental theater, kind of stuff that kind of plays with, the audience. It's, kind of a little more immersive and things like that. I've done some of that stuff that's kind of interesting, and, things that kind of, kind of play with the format of theater a bit. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot of money in theater, so it's unfortunately not practical a lot of the time, because it's a major time commitment, and you can't really it's you have to really put that time aside, in order to, but if you're trying to make yourself available for other work, it's difficult. But if I did have the opportunity, just if I could just do that, if money was no option, yeah, I mean, the theater is, I think, one of the most purest experiences for an actor and the audience.
That's cool, and you definitely would prefer to do more original work than, like you said, like established work. I ask that question a lot when I talk to someone who likes the theater.
Sure.
To me, it's like, what would you rather do? Would you rather do a revival of Phantom of the Opera, or would you rather do something brand new from a new playwright? And for the most part, I always get everybody sitting there going like, I'd rather do a new original project. I'd rather put my stamp on it first.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think it's, yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's the whole experience. It's either, it might be the person I want to, the particular, it might be someone I want to work with. It might be the director, another actor, it might be a play. I mean, it might be an older play, but it might be a play that, that's very close to me, that, that I connect with. So, it's all, there's, there's so many different factors, so many different things you weigh, things that, make any project attractive or appealing.
What was your favorite? What was your favorite theater? What was your favorite role on the theater as far as that goes? Was there any particular one that really stood out to you more than any other?
Oh man, I mean,
That you really had to work at, like, a tough character that you had to basically go in there and wrestle with it to make it your own.
sure. Yeah, I think there's when I was in my early 20s, I played there's a South African playwright named Athol Fugard, and one of his well-known plays is Master Harold and the Boys, and it takes place during apartheid South Africa. So I was so I was playing I was playing that. So I played the kind of the lead character who's who's a young boy who strikes up who's developed a relationship with the with the house servants, and so it's all about gets into the issues of racial divide, and kind of what and what that really means, and and this character who's kind of both like claiming his independence and manhood, but then might in the process give up his humanity by by betraying the people that he's come to trust over all these years. And it's a heartbreaking story, and it really was really kind of captured kind of the the humanity of that of that era. And and it was I mean so I mean, that was a kind of character that I really had to work at finding the really finding the humanity of the character, because there's when you're playing a character who does on paper very terrible things, you have to you have to find a way to to humanize that. You have to find a way to, like, what is the what is going on in the heart of this character, and what is it that's relatable, what can I relate to, because I think we're we're all capable of we're all fallible, we're all characters, as humans, we're all capable of the best and the worst. So we have to kind of ride that edge.
Now, how old were you when you did that role?
I think was 22, 23.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must have been really tough. Now,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a lot to bite off, for sure.
do you think your style of act is the safest? Are you a method actor by chance?
It really depends. I think, I mean, that that whole that style, what it means to what that even means, I think, has changed over the years. I think I certainly dabbled in that. I think I have in the past really I've taken that method of really deeply personalizing everything that's happening to me. I think that's just, it's one approach, and I think for me it's something that you can you have that experience of doing that, and then you can borrow from elements of that. I think it's I think something like method is more like an exercise that you learn from, whether it's something that you have to do every time. It's like, I think from having that experience of like really going into the character, and mining things from my own life, and all of that, and kind of relating that. But it's like, I'm not I certainly will, if something is if something about the character is abstract, you know, that I just can't relate to, or just something that is just an you know, an idea to me, then I will, you know, then I will try to at least do as much research as I can, and if I can, you know, you know, go to a place similar that the character is in or something like that, so I have an image of that. I mean, I'll certainly do that whenever I can, just because
I was
it's
just thinking, I was thinking
perform.
like a lot of young actors, when they're first starting out, a lot of them do that method. They get into the
Sure.
method for a
No, it
start.
makes sense. Yeah. I think
I was thinking
there's
doing
so
a
many
role,
different ways to do it, you know. And I think it depends on the part. You know, I'll approach it differently each time depending on what the demands of the character are.
right? Because to me, it's like, when you do a heavy role like Master Harold and the Boys, and you're a method actor, and you're only 22 years old, that's a lot of weight to carry on your shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's a
no, it's a lot. It's a lot. I think I definitely, you know, I definitely felt that weight at the time. I think, you know, in retrospect, you know, you know, you know, there's certainly, you know, there's certainly ways I would have approached it differently now, you know, but it's you know, a lot of it is, yeah, just, you know, having that experience, you know, and just and just yeah, and I think now there's just a you know, there I just have more of an I have more of an ease in my performances and my acting than I did before,
Oh,
you know.
I'm sure you're very comfortable in your skin.
Yeah, I think, you know, you know, I think yeah, and you have to be, and I get that, you know, I've certainly experienced that over the years of just getting more and more comfortable, and just, you know,
Right.
and it just comes from experience, you know. It just
Yeah.
comes from
Yeah.
being in in
If I'm a director and I'm a young director,
oh yeah.
that's exactly why I want someone like Galen Howard on my project, because that's just takes a lot of weight from my shoulders. I don't have to worry about Galen, because Galen's going to be bringing it all the time. So let me go ahead and get that, because sometimes you hear that, you hear someone's listener say, "Get me a so and so type." They'll tell us about a casting
Mhm,
director.
mhm.
Give me a Galen Howard type. Well, why
Yeah,
do you need a Galen Howard type when you can just call up and get Galen Howard himself? I mean, that's the
right.
kind of, so yeah, so you were cutting your teeth on some pretty meaty projects. Now, how old were you when you first got into when you walked into your first film set? And did you take any training before you did this, or was this all just on the go?
I mean, I certainly had you know, a handful of, I mean, I'd taken classes throughout, you know, up in Sacramento, and, you know, I'd taken in, you know, you know, some college level courses, and, you know, I had studied with a number of teachers up there, and then I did, you know, quite a bit of training, you know, in Los Angeles, a number of different teachers I studied with, but it was, yeah, I think, I mean, yeah, I mean, my first like yeah, my first like full on film set. I'm trying to think, because, you know, I mean, you know, I've worked a lot of, you know, lower budget sets and that sort of thing. You know, a lot of, you know, kind of you know, in you know, more independent crews. But, you know, like being on an actual film set, I think, you know, I was probably you know, the first TV role I did um, on a Nickelodeon show. It was one of their like Nickelodeon sitcoms. I think it was called Game Shakers, and that was about, yeah, that was back in like 2015. Um, and yeah, so that was like, yeah, my first co-star. I think I had a couple lines, and, you know, I think just, you know, being on a you know, being on a full, you know, like, you know, when you know, you enter the lot, and and you get on the actual set and everything. I mean, that's it. It's a whole different experience, you know.
Well, what's the as far as your first sets go, what were some of the things that like from the first movie that you worked in? What did you take away from that experience?
I think, you know, I mean, it depends on it kind of depends on what the role is. Like, you know, for a lot of the TV roles, I've done, where you have like where you have a small part. I mean, really you really have, at that point, you really have like one job. And so it's really just, you show up and, do the job that they hired you to do, so it's like, you said the lines in a certain way. And so then you have to go do that. And so, they don't want you to reinvent the wheel or anything. They're relying on you to fill in that one puzzle piece. And so you kind of, you show up and do it as delivered,
Um, I want to get to this because I'm dying to ask because
Yeah.
so you've actually been in two, and we're going to go back to your other to you moving down, but I just want to get the um. So you worked on both major franchises. You worked on in the MCU. You did
Yes.
a role on Agents of Shield,
Mhm.
uh, and you also did. A lot of people here saw you in your role on the Book of Boba Fett.
Correct.
Um, how hard was it? And can you talk us through the process? How did you get the roles? I mean, how was it? Were they? Did you have to audition multiple times? How did you
It
get?
was one. It was one audition each, and it's cool because actually the both of those shows are from the same casting office. Sarah Finn, who does, she does all of the major Marvel programs, and a lot of the major movies. She's, her office is big part in creating that universe, and then there's also, doing, Mandalorian and Boba Fett, and so so when I first, I did Agents of Shield. I auditioned first, and I play kind of a greasy kind of like gambler in this, on this, kind of like underground alien casino, like outer space casino. And so it was so in the when I was given the scene, they actually had me audition. I was actually called into audition for another part in the scene, like who was like basically the casino dealer, and that character was kind of written as like kind of imposing and humorless and that sort of thing. And I'm like, well, that's not really my bread and butter. That's not really what I do, but I'll come and do that. But then as I was reading it, I noticed there was another part, this kind of, much more of like a character part, kind of kind of a sleazy character. And, and I was like, that is probably more the character I should be reading for. So I came in, and, and I read that part, and, and the woman reading with me was, just said, that was great. Do you want to read it again? And, I said, well, actually, if you don't mind, I noticed the other part in this scene, and I would like to read for that, if that's okay. And, then she just kind of, looked at me for a second, and she said, you want to? And I said, yeah. And she goes, well, okay, let's do it. And so read through it, and she said, okay. And, she said, you know what, that was great. I have no notes, I'm going to send this tape in instead of your other one. And I said, great. And I left the room. And then I got an offer in a few days.
Considering where the MCU was at that time,
Right.
were you pretty? I mean, do you ever get excited anymore when you get a role like that? I mean, when you're on the phone to somebody, you're sitting there, you won the role. Do you ever just hang up the phone and just like give yourself a high five? And
Certainly when it's, yeah, I mean, when you get to be a part of a major franchise, or if it's, someone or if and especially, if there's someone, very excited to work with or anything like that. No, I mean, that's huge. You have to, I always try to take time to appreciate the wins. I mean, I think you just have to, because this career is so thankless, and so you have to celebrate you have to celebrate those successes. You don't have to build them up or anything, but you acknowledge that, you appreciate it. So yeah, absolutely. It's that's what keeps it interesting.
so Now, did you ever go out for any other MC? Did they ever call you for any other MCU appearances after the first one?
I have, and no, I haven't. I don't think I don't think I've read for. I don't think so. I don't think I've read for any for any of the Marvel shows. I think the tough thing is that for a lot of those they don't you know they might not even reveal to you what it is at the time. I mean, they might give it a dummy name or something. You might have to kind of figure it out later what it was that you read for, because they keep anything Marvel or Star Wars, anything, they keep that under wraps.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. So walk us through, and you said I'm really impressed. You said you only did one edition for the Boba Fett.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It was surreal how that happened. I mean, when it was during, it was during COVID, that I auditioned and shot it. And they sent me the sides, and, again, it was, and in that case, it was all nondescript. I think they said, untitled, Disney Lucasfilm project. So, I kind of deduced from there, okay, I think I at least know what franchise this is. What else could it be? And but I didn't know they hadn't announced the Boba Fett TV show at that point, so I wasn't sure if it was more Mandalorian, if it was something completely different. I wasn't sure. But they sent me the signs that are basically what you see in the show on that first episode I did, and it was just, I think those two lines, I think they changed the other character names. They're not going to say Boba Fett on the script, so I didn't. So, right. But I think they gave like a generic name, like Boss or something, and then from there it was I just read the lines. I kind of read it, kind of two different ways. One a little more formal, one a little more character. And then. And then from there, just I think I sent it in. I think they sent me, and I think a couple of days later they sent like a letter of interest, kind of like, oh, like, are you available for this, for these dates? And then I think I got an offer, the following day. So it was for a show of that size, for that kind of franchise, it is remarkable how how easily and quickly it all came together.
I would think that if people would be put through the paces for that. I would think that. I would think that. I don't care who you are. Well, I'm so and so. I think you're still going to do audition 5 or 6 times because of the franchise. How big it is. But
yeah.
So to be able to go in there.
I think it depends on the part. I mean, I think certainly for some of the, for some of the major recurrings, for some of the bigger guest stars, for sure. I'm not sure. I don't know what their protocol was for all the characters. I'm sure it really depended, but but also, I had I think I had I think they were looking for something very specific, and I had a very specific look. So I think, it really just kind of ticked all the boxes for them for whatever reason. And
now here you are. You're a veteran. You're a veteran actor. I mean, you know your way around the set.
Sure.
But were you nervous when you walked on the set of that? Do you still get butterflies for a role?
But butterflies, not so much. I mean, there's certainly a sense of overwhelm and awe for sure. I mean, when you're on a set like that, I was certain, it's there's a lot to take in, and it's certainly an unfamiliar experience of being on that. I think, thankfully I've had enough, at that point I'd had enough experience of being able to, hold myself on a set. And I think, I think nerves are all about, kind of, uncertainty and overwhelm, and kind of, the uncertainty of, is this going to work out? Am I going to be able to do this? And And I think for the most part, I've been able to do it enough times that I know, I kind of, um, there's, I know there's, I know that, there's a certain amount at stake, but, I also know that, if I mess up a line or something, I do it again, if it's, I don't have to do it perfect, if something happens, you're not, your career's not going to be over, if you didn't, if you said it this way and not that way, you kind of, you learn to let things go.
Now, who did you? Because I'm not a streamer, so I have not been able to see that. But who did you act against? I mean, who was your scene partners in your role on the Boba Fett?
It was the two leads, Tamara Morrison and Ming-Na Wen, and playing Boba Fett and Fennec Shand, respectively. And then it took place in the Mos Espa City Hall, and and so I was acting opposite I was kind of I was like the desk clerk, and so my superior was the Twi'lek Major Domo, played by the comedy actor David Pasquesi. And so all three of them are just heavyweights in their own respect.
Second time you work with Minwa, right?
Yes, we weren't on. We actually, I think we weren't on set at the same time. I think we were at the. I think we might have been at the. I think she might have been on set when we were doing the table read. I don't think she was in that episode, but she was around. She was definitely around when I was shooting. But that was the first time we really got, we were really around each other, got to have a conversation. She's lovely.
Oh my gosh, yeah, she's drop dead beautiful.
Absolutely, yeah, no, and I think
I loved her character.
Oh, absolutely. I don't. I don't know what I don't know what her secret is. I mean, she still looks 30 years old, and I mean, she's and it's insane. I don't know what
her Michelle Yeoh must be drinking from the same water.
Absolutely, my God, it's just it's inhuman. I mean, hey, if you have to if you have to drink blood or whatever it is, I mean, do what you do.
What are the two? I mean, if you had a choice, if someone came up to you and said, Galen, you have a chance to play we got a good meaty role here in an MCU movie, or a good meaty role in a Star Wars movie, which one would you take and why?
That's interesting. I think there, probably, I think that's a tough one. I think there's often I'm drawn to more, especially some of the bigger characters. I think there's so much more to play with in the Marvel universe, because they they have so many, they jump from different time frames and different worlds, different everything, so you're not confined to to one kind of reality. They go backwards and forwards. They go in they go in this world, in other worlds, other dimensions, other realities, everything. I mean, I think there's so they have they have the multiverse, so it's like there's so much to choose from there. So I think just for that reason, I think there's I would be really excited about just like the possibility of characters I could play in a world like that.
Yeah, multiverse would definitely open the door as far as multiple roles.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's we got a comment here from our friend Anthony. You were great. You were great on Boba Fett, Galen. Must have been interesting working in the volume.
Oh yes, yeah. The volume was for people who aren't familiar with that, that's the kind of the kind of the 360 digital set that they work on, where it's like, the entire background is basically projected from that digital set, that digital background. So I mean, that was incredible. In fact, it's so, the dimensions of it are so believable, and the images are so crisp that one of the crew members remarked to me when I was on set that this was right in the middle of COVID, and one of the COVID officers almost approached one of the digital background characters to put on their mask.
Oh, wow. Get out of here.
Because it was that believable. It was like that realistic.
Wow, I'm glad he's able to pull out in the last minute.
Yeah,
that would have been you would have never seen that.
That's how believable it was. Yeah. It was it's incredible. So yeah, everything was everything you see in the foreground was built up, but everything behind the actors in the scene are digitally projected.
Right.
So, yeah, it's incredible. It's and you and that's also great for an actor, because you get to see everything right there. It's not like being on a green screen where you don't necessarily know what is behind you, or what your work or the environment. You have to kind of imagine the environment you're working in, and you might be right, you might not be, but this way you at least get to see it, right there. And
is it really hard to work against? Isn't it really hard to work against a green screen?
Yeah. You have to. You just. Now, thankfully, I think theater actors have a better time of that, because often they might be in a black box with a bench and a tree, so they have to fill in everything else.
Sure.
And. Sure. They have to fill in the fourth wall in front of them. They have to do that. But so you have so it is part of our instrument. It's part of our tools, is kind of creating that. But when you don't have to, it's really nice.
Now, we talked briefly a little bit about your improvising and whatnot. I mean, do you see yourself? Do you see yourself more as a comedic actor, or do you are you more like a? If someone walked up to you and said, "How do you see yourself playing on what roles do you see yourself playing the most? Is it comedic roles? Is it dramatic roles? Action adventure?"
I think it. I think it really comes down to the character. I love. And the story. I think the character and the story are paramount for me. And I think when I approach a character, when I play a dramatic character, I'm likely, or something more serious. Even if it's in a genre, maybe it might be something a little more serious. I'm likely to find the humor in that. I'm just likely to bring that to it, just based on who I am. And and if it's something that's purely comedic, I'm likely to be kind of find something that's maybe a little darker, a little more human, a little more a little more real, so a little more grounded. So I think it's it really comes down to the character, and I think it's really kind of finding that edge in whatever you do.
How do you approach it? Because you're you've done so much.
Yeah.
How do you handle when you get to work with someone who maybe it's their first film set? How do you approach? Do you ever approach an actor like you're doing a scene partner? You ever approach them and sit there and say, "Hi, I'm Galen. Let's and introduce yourself and talk to them before the scene," or are you more just you want to see what they're about first? How do you handle working with someone with a lot less experience than yourself?
Well, for one thing, I try to approach with as much empathy as I can, because I've been there, and and I know if it were, I go back, and if it's it, if I see myself, in that person who's starting out, I try to think like, what would I want? And I would want someone who's patient. I would want someone who's forgiving and understanding, and and so I try to do that as much as I can. I think, when you're, when, because we all have our own struggles, and, so sometimes when you're working with someone who's less experienced, it does make things a little harder. And, and so you have to be able to work with that. But, I ultimately try to be, gracious to everyone. And it's like, yeah, definitely like making an introduction, making the introduction, and, trying to be a team player with everyone. And then, if they don't, if they need a little help, then it's my job to help. It's my job to do whatever I can to kind of, fill in the blanks a little bit, or to, kind of give them a little more to work with, because it's not about, it's, in the end of the day, it's not about me looking good. It's about, everyone there telling a story. And, so that's what it comes down to.
What have been some what have been some of the roles that what have been like 2 or 3 of your hardest roles that you just had a hard time grabbing? Okay, I'm playing this, I'm playing like a soulless sheep herder or something like that. I've never done that before. So how do I get into that role? How do you ever had a role where you just like, I'm having a hard time getting into it or understanding it? How do you fix it yourself, or do you go to ask peers for advice?
Yeah, I think I think every role has a challenge. Because because my type is so specific. I generally I generally do get a little more typecast as far as like what my look is. People are, as I have general types that that I kind of gravitate toward. And so, the more of the character types, more of the eccentrics, more, that sort of thing. Maybe someone who's a little devious, or, or a little shifty, shady kind of characters. Like, so I'm generally playing, I get to play characters that are kind of all in that kind of wheelhouse. So, but I think it's, I think in general, I think the main challenge is just to, again, try to, connect with that character, and kind of, and be as specific as I can as far as what they're doing, what they're about, what they want, and then kind of, and then go from there.
Do you like playing villains more than heroes? You don't get have you played a hero yet? I mean,
I play like some kind of protagonist characters, sometimes maybe a little, kind of anti-hero kind of characters. I kind of, I'm kind of, I'm playing a lot of those kind of those side characters. So I might play like, this, kind of the side character to the, to the main villain, or something like that, kind of the foil to the main villain. I played that kind of character a lot. I played like kind of some sidekick characters and that sort of thing. I play, kind of, or yeah, played like a, and I'm kind of the kind of character who's more like going to play like the, the secondary to either the hero or the villain, that kind of thing, but again, I think, I think in whatever role you play, I think you always kind of see yourself as the hero. You always, you always kind of, you're all about like telling the story of that character, as how it fits into the overall story.
Hobbs wants to know about working on Badass Monster Killer.
Oh yeah, that's a genre film that was shot up in Sacramento, and that was that's from that's from a crew that they had a they had a group up in a group up in SAC that kind of late night movie screenings and stage shows they called the Trash Film Orgy, and then they've done a few features. I think they just I think they just wrapped on I think their fifth feature, and or they just finished post on that, and yeah, and they just so they have that whole kind of B movie aesthetic, B movie grindhouse aesthetic that they bring to their films, and so that one was really fun. It was kind of a combination of kind of the 70s blaxploitation with kind of with H.P. Lovecraft mythos and kind of Cthulhu, Eldritch, the elders and all of that, kind of mythos mixed into it. So that one was a lot of fun.
You also worked with some music artists as well.
Yes, I've done a number of music videos over the years. Yeah.
Who are some of the artists you worked with?
Let's see. I think most prominently Weezer, Justin Timberlake, Smashing Pumpkins, St. Paul and the Broken Bones recently, Panic at the Disco earlier this year. I mean, just a lot of really prominent bands. Yeah.
Yeah. I know Weezer.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. That was off of their I think off of their White album they did. Okay. My main appearance was on a video they did for their single Thank God for Girls, and it's they did this lyric video. They had to get out this lyric video that's in time for the single to drop, and so they shot and edited this thing in a few days with me, and it's basically just the whole video is just me against a blank wall eating an entire plate of cannoli.
Oh, hard job. Oh
boy, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it's one or two cannolis, one or two cannoli are great. You get into your fourth and fifth, and you're kind of hating your life.
Yeah, then you're getting that sugar rush.
Ooh, yeah. Well, yeah, and it's just and it's so rich, and it just it just stays in you. I mean. Yeah, it's not. At that point, I realized, okay, I have a couple more in me, and then that's it. Then we're gonna have to,
Otherwise, we're gonna have more. We're gonna get a couple more in me. Otherwise, we're gonna have
a few more out of me. Yeah,
out of me. Yeah.
I think. I don't think we needed. I don't think they ever got me a spit bucket, but we were close. I mean, it was,
yeah,
it was bad.
Tell us a couple of those fun stories about life on the set. I mean, you must have seen some seriously funny shit. For a low budget film, a lot of this low budget films, how important is it for a good crafty? And what has been your best craft table?
On
the independent level.
On the independent level, I mean, I mean, having I mean, it is remarkable what what having having good craft service, and good craft options. I mean, it's like it's one of those where you generally I've been fortunate that most of them are that most of them are fairly good, or at least, it's at least it's at least plentiful. It's at least, you have some dietary options, all of that. I think, I think what always makes a difference is variety. And if you have people who are just there to take care of you, and it's like, okay, if you want to substitute this or that, or you have different options, I think that's the big thing. I mean, there are some times where, they'll just, they'll give you a plate and that's it, and, and it's still good. But, I think when you can really kind of tailor your experience, just knowing that you're cared for, knowing that, that people are, kind of taking that extra mile to make your experience positive and pleasant.
Oh, I'm sure it's been,
Makes a difference, and that just, if you need a little snack, if you need a little water or something, it's right there, and it's just, it's just part of the experience. And, I love that.
What has been the hardest shoot that you've had to go on? What movie was put you through the paces the hardest, whether it been atmosphere or role or, and how do you work with an actor that maybe you don't jive with? I don't ask that question very often.
Sure. I mean, I won't name any names, but I do have, there are people who, I've worked with, I've worked with some people who are, can, just, for whatever reason are just coming to set with a bad attitude, kind of maybe feel that the project is below them or that sort of thing. And, you're just kind of, you're just stuck with, you're just stuck with kind of this black cloud. And then you just kind of have to, you still just have to do your job. And,
just the worst though, isn't it, Galen? I mean, that is, someone who maybe used to be more well known, get bigger part, and now they're coming down to this, low budget set. I mean, but isn't work just work? I mean, you go up and down.
I think so. I think, I mean, at the end of the day, whether you're happy to do the project or not, if you think, whether you think the project's below you, I mean, if you take the job, it's not below you, clearly, just by definition. So it's like, if you don't, if it is, then, if it is, then, if you don't need to do it, then, then don't take the job, if it's true, if it's truly sacrificing your dignity or something, then you shouldn't do it. But I mean, I think a lot of these people will kind of, feel that they deserve better and then come in with that attitude. But it's like, that just makes things worse. It just makes things worse for you and for everyone. And it's unfortunate, because I think, I've also worked with people who, maybe, had been on, I'll say someone I will shout out someone who I thought was great to work with. Was Richard Reilly, who was on, who people know from, Office Space and so many great films. And, he, did a lot of his prominent work in the, in the 90s and early 2000s. And he's just, he's an incredible actor. And, and he does a lot of, these days does a lot of more like, smaller independent work. But, he's just someone who absolutely loves the craft. He's, he has absolutely no ego. He absolutely loves what he does. He's the, I worked with him on a film called Moon Manor, which is a, beautiful little indie. And, he was, one of the first, on every day, he was the first one on set and the last to leave. He just loved what he did so much. So, I'll shout out that, because that's, I think, someone who's, could be, does have the credits to, to say, oh, I've done this and that, and, does have the, certainly does have the credits to boast, and that the room to boast and that sort of thing, but never for a second, wields any ego, and is, just there for the experience, and is so generous, and just absolutely loves what he does. And, and I think that's just a great example. And I look at that.
That's a great example.
That's where I want to be in 30 years, is I want to have, regardless of the roads that my career goes, that's where I want to, that's how I want to approach things. That's how I want to always, approach
that's
things.
That's a great example. And thank you for naming him, because
Oh, he's great.
He's a great actor, and he's exactly you and him are exactly the type of actor. Like when I see them on, I either see you or I see
Mhm.
Richard. I mean, I immediately know that I'm in good hands because I'm going like if they took the care enough to cast quality actors such as yourself,
Right.
then I feel a lot more comfortable as a viewer with the story that you're going to be telling me because you got good storytellers telling me that story, and I,
Yeah.
and as a viewer, we want to be able to, you want to be entertained, you want to have a good time watching the film.
Well, yeah,
How,
yeah, and you want to be able to, yeah, you want to be able to forget about your life. You want to be able to like put all full attention on that and kind of be immersed in that world. And I think, and that's the job of the actor is to help you do that.
see, Hobbs got a couple of questions for you, our good
Okay.
buddy Hobbs. Have you thought about exploring more with being a film director?
Oh, I've I love the storytelling process. I love all of that. I think I'm not the best multitasker, so I don't know if I could do that. Maybe something very small, maybe something like that. I've certainly considered it because I mean movies were my love from a very young age. And I mean, as much as I wanted to as much as I admired the actors on screen, I always, I was a big movie buff. I loved, I got very much into, the, individual directors,
Who are your three favorite directors?
oh man, I love, first favorite, I might probably like the Coen brothers for sure. It was a big one. Yeah, 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 just in love with their movies. I really, I really love all the movies of Werner Herzog. His stuff is so out there and just also but incredibly human as well. And I love. I'm a big Robert Altman fan too.
Mm,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I actually walked out of one of his movies.
Well, yeah, he's made some. I mean, he's made some. Definitely had some misses, and that's kind of what I
Yeah.
appreciate about him is that he's had as many hit misses as he's had hits. Which one did you walk out of?
Kansas City.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was like the first time I walked out of a movie, and I never walked out of a movie before then.
Uh-huh.
I've only walked out of like 5 or 6 movies in my whole
Wow.
life.
Yeah.
But Kansas City was my first one, and this it stayed with me because that was the only one. It was just like, oh, it was terrible, terrible, and I was so bummed out too because I had a good cast, but that movie was just unwatchable. Uh,
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah, yeah.
okay. Oh, all right. Yeah, we should mention him. Let's do that. Let's do that. Your thoughts on can you rank a big Mike Ferguson film?
And on what about Mike Ferguson?
What's his favorite movie that you watched of his?
Let's see. I thought he was great in Shadow Marsh. I think he's
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
he's really good in that. I think that was one of the first where he got a chance to play a real fleshed out character. And I'm really excited to see some of his some of the stuff he shot this year. I mean, we're good friends, so he's told me about shooting Showdown at the Odessa
That's a fight for that, isn't
yeah,
he?
and Static Codes. He's gotten some to play some really cool parts this year. Really kind of stretches his niche a bit. So I'm really always excited for what he has in store. And we're always conspiring to get something going together because we
He loves the business.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, exactly. So
Um, yeah,
yeah, but no, I love yeah.
I highly recommend. He did a short. He knows I'm going to talk about this when he hears
Okay,
it. So he did a short film that I absolutely positively love. I keep it right here.
okay,
He did. It's called Nowhere to Run,
okay.
and
Yeah, I don't
it
think I've
is
seen that one.
uh, it's allegorical.
Oh, cool.
He plays death,
Oh,
and
cool.
and he a young woman has lost her husband,
Mm-hmm.
and so she's fighting to stay alive, it looks like it looks. I mean, on the surface, it looks like a like something you see in a regular horror movie, but you really need to really watch the movie to see what the filmmaker is really telling you. The fight, you're fighting death. You lost it. Now you got to keep going. You got to fight. You got to. Sometimes you got to fight for your life.
Yeah.
If someone close to you dies, you got to fight. And the death is eager. It's there waiting to take you, but
Mhm.
you got to be able to fight through that. And I just absolutely love that movie. I thought it was sensational.
Oh, cool. I'll check that one out. I love his work, and he always picks such interesting projects. So, yeah, yeah. No, I like
Now,
seeing.
have you guys worked together yet on a movie?
We did we've done a few. We met on a music video. We met on a Little Nas X video. A couple of years ago, but we haven't really had an opportunity to really share the screen together. So we're definitely, that's one of our resolutions this year is to work together. So
Yeah, I would love to
share the
see
screen
that.
together, share it, kind of chew the scenery together.
I would love to see that. Um, what's your I mean, and you oh hey hi Eden the movie room. Hello, how are you? We are talking to actor Galen Howard tonight. Um, Now I want to go. I'm gonna gotta touch the other big credit because I'm interested in this. But
Okay.
because you did comedy, I think you're pretty. You probably do you see yourself as having really good comedic chops? I mean, you appeared on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and that show was hilarious.
Yeah, no, I think I'm certainly drawn to comedy. I've always have, and I think just because of my general essence, I think comedy, comedic acting does kind of come naturally to me. It really always has. So yeah, I get a lot of, I certainly get a lot of opportunity for comedic characters, and so that's, I'm again, I'm always looking to kind of play all the sides of it. But I think, but I've, yeah, but I mean, yeah, from the beginning, I was, always kind of, gravitating towards more like comedic characters. Absolutely.
Now, the last thing I want to mention to you
Mhm.
that we'll talk about a little bit is the movie that's upcoming is in post production called Whisper and Shadows. The title just got me right away.
Yeah, I don't know what the what that yeah, that's a funny one because that's one that I actually shot many years ago, and
Mm.
shot it up here. It's a little anthology. It was from I think I shot that when I was still in Sacramento, and I think I don't know if the director, yeah, his name is Jace Whitman, very nice guy. I don't know if he is going to ever put that one out, but I hope he does, because he has and yeah, because he shot three little segments in that, and one of them, I think one of them has Richard Mall from Night Court in it, and so yeah, I hope he does. I hope he does something with it. I hope
I hope so
he's able
too.
to show it.
Does that surprise you sometimes when you shoot a movie, like when you walk off the set, you just dust your hands off because but then because you did the role,
Yeah.
you got compensated for it, and you move on to the next one. But is there like, do you ever get frustrated as a creative when you turn around and see a movie like that, like
Oh,
Shadows and Whispers, and
sure.
you sit there, you go like, I wanted it to be seen, like
Yeah.
why is it still on the shelf?
Oh, of course. I mean, I mean, unfortunately, yeah, that is part of the business. I mean, movies get delayed or get buried for, a number of reasons. I think, a lot of, I think if you work in this business, I think everyone has at least one or two movies that, they are, that they're, I mean, with where they've, done work that they're very proud of, and those films may never get seen, and
Uh,
that's, or it may takes years. I've had you know, I've had some, you know, I've had films come out that, you know, I shot, you know, several years ago, 3 or 4 years ago or more, you know. I had a film come out this, you know, this year that I shot, I think like 5 years ago. It was, you know, and it takes like so many different reasons, you know, for so many different reasons, you know, it gets held up for this reason or that, you know, and it's just, you know, it's out of your control.
Let's see. Eden Movie Room has a comment. It says hello. It says Galen, we're on Smoosh channel as well. I don't
Oh,
know. Smosh.
or Smosh. Yes, yes, yes.
Smosh.
Smosh is a was one of the big one of the first major YouTube channels, you know, right from the beginning, you know, one of the first you know, YouTube channels to go viral, and you know, going on like 15 years ago now. And yeah, they're actually they were based in the Sacramento area. And so I did a number of videos with them over the
Oh,
years.
okay.
Yeah, and had a had a number of did about like 7 or 8 videos with them. And you know, got to do other you know, other things. They had a cartoon sister channel for a while that I did some writing and some voice work for. And you know, they have a whole little empire, you know.
Okay.
They've done some. Yeah, they're very, you know, they're very influential, you know, very kind of, you know, pioneers of, you know, the YouTube, you know, kind of the YouTube legacy. So yeah, no, yeah, so those yeah, they're run by Anthony Gallego and Ian. My God, I'm blanking on his name. I'm terrible. But Ian Hecox, sorry. And so yeah, they've been doing work for over the last 15 years, and just and they still have an audience. They're still one of the YouTube channels, original YouTube channels, that's still going. You know, remarkable.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'll have to peek on that.
yeah.
Also, he mentions I've seen your action on Smosh,
Mhm.
working as a restaurant person. We serve pie.
Yes, yes. Yeah. In one video, yeah, they have an encounter at a restaurant, and I kind of, you know, they gave me this kind of Peter Sellers role where I like kind of pop up as like 7 different characters throughout their experience. That was a
Um,
lot of fun. Yeah, that was so much fun. Yeah, they definitely gave me a lot of career highlights just by being able to do that kind of thing, that kind of like Alec Guinness, Peter Sellers kind of multi-character, you know, experience was great. Another big highlight was that they did a tie-in for the Dumb and Dumber sequel. So and I did a sketch where we were riding in the actual Mutt Cuts van.
okay.
If you remember the Dumb and Dumber, you remember the dog van?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so we got to ride in that in the actual Mutt Cuts van, which was incredible.
How much fun is that?
Oh my God, it's so cool.
Uh, let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Galen, when are you doing a meet and greet? Never went to a horror con yet to meet actors yet. Yeah, you know, I was gonna say this, and I hope you don't take offense with this, because I've heard this before. I've heard other actors mention this. When you did your Marvel and your Star Wars stunt, one of the things that really helped is that you submitted yourself as a permanent convention guest. I mean, now you made the convention circuit, because
Sure.
now you're in two really real popular franchises. Yeah, have you gone to conventions yet? Have you ever done one yet?
You know, I'm hoping to do more this year. I think it's you know, a lot of them you know, I think a lot of them booked ahead of time, you know, so I think like you know, unfortunately when um you know, like Celebration, I think was already booked when, you know, when Boba Fett came out, but I'm hoping to do more this year, you know, and, you know,
You can do Sacramento every year, and that they should not. That shouldn't be a problem. That should be like an automatic.
absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm definitely, you know, I would love to do all of the, you know, the major cons for sure. I think it's just, you know, I know a lot of people who do that. Yeah. And then there's a lot of the horror cons and, you know, in California and that sort of thing. I mean, I've done, you know, would love to do more of that because that's, you know, being, you know, I think those are such, you know, are such positive environments, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. So
Conventions are they can be a lot of fun. I mean,
yeah.
you know, I think, I mean,
That's,
they're
because
extremely
where are you based?
I'm in southeastern Michigan. I'm by Ann Arbor.
Okay. So do you get a lot of cons out in your area?
We have three.
Okay.
We have Motor City Comic Con, which is the granddaddy,
Uh-huh.
and then they do Nightmare City, and they do one more in Ann Arbor. I can't remember the top of my head of.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But
Yeah.
Motor City Comic Con that's the big one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. Cons are fun. I mean, you know, as long as a promoter isn't trying to, you know, basically take everybody's money, because you know now it's so expensive to go to cons. Especially if you're looking for an autograph or a picture,
Yeah.
it's so expensive. And the
Yeah.
thing that it is though is like a lot of actors, and I know this to be true. A lot of actors, you know, like let's say you're gonna go meet you know, let's say you're meeting Robert Redford, right?
Right.
And they charge you $100 to see Robert Redford.
Right.
Unfortunately, you want to come in there and say, "Well, I'm not Robert Redford, so you can come say hi to me for $20."
Right.
Unfortunately, for a lot of the conventions, is they have that rate, they have that locked in where whatever our highest person is asking for, you have to keep your prices right there with it. Maybe $20 difference,
Yeah.
and what it does, it takes away. It hurts the character actors, you know, the ones that aren't, you know, multi-billionaires, uh,
Yeah.
because now you can't go, because you know nobody wants to sit there and charge anybody for $80 for an autograph. You know, most of the time it's like, no, I'm glad you're here.
I'm
Let's
glad you're
sign
right.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because of the economics now of a con, now anybody that's there, you have to keep your prices within.
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, because you come in with the, you know, you come in with an MG, and then it's like, and then that's against whatever you make from the convention.
Right.
So yeah, it's, you know, and then yeah, it's all a business, you know, and it's, you know, you know, it's there for, you know, for a lot of those people, it means, it means an extra gig in between, in between their other jobs, and you know, you get to travel, you get to meet new people, you get to, you know, you get to have fun, you know.
Oh, I think conventions are. I think you know the convention circuit is a lot of fun. I mean, you see a lot of the same faces. They go from convention to convention to convention because you know that's what people want to do. You know, they love to see them. They love to see the new, you know, the familiar faces and whatnot.
Right.
Hops is sitting there saying, "I'd rather meet Galen." Yeah, I've always been that way too. I've always been that way. I've always liked to meet the. I always like to meet the character actors. So they're so much more fun, and you guys have so many more stories.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I think, yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah.
okay, how about this? Do you guys have any questions for our guest? Because I'm going to let him go here in a minute, but I'll take a couple of questions. If you guys have some questions for Galen, go ahead and feel free to drop them in the chat. Um, uh, yeah, exactly, Eden. He says he'd rather meet Dick or Warlock from Halloween too.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, right.
yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, I'd rather go and meet and you know someone like Dick Warlock because that'd be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah,
Um,
no, exactly. Yeah. Um there was a great podcast from years ago, called I Was There Too, that like was interviews with all of like the, you know, the smaller actors from huge movies, you know, and talking to people like Stephen Tobolowsky and people, and you know,
we
those great character actors like that.
We were just talking about him before you got on.
Oh, that's cool. He's another one of my favorites. He's like, I mean, for me, it's like, when you mentioned like, the people you'd love to work with, or, you mentioned, big stars or people, I would want to work with someone like him, because he brings so much to, he has so many incredible stories. He has just he's a walking film history. That to me is just so fulfilling, just to be around someone like that.
That's how I see. That's how I see you. I see you, and you and Steven, like, that's Michael Berryman.
Michael. Yeah, exactly.
You just look at that, and you're just like, and when you see him on a screen, you're so happy to see him, and then you get pissed off at the director who only has you in there for one scene. Then you get pissed off at the director. It's like, you know what? Really, seriously? It makes you mad as a film.
Right.
As a film.
Yeah.
What do you mean Galen's in here for one scene? Really?
On the but on the other hand, you have someone like Dick Miller, and Joe Dante might only have him in one scene, but he'd put him in every movie.
Yes.
It's not a Joe Dante movie without Dick Miller.
No.
And
you're right, because there is a lot of there's our friend Lazy Cheetah in the house. Hi, Lazy Cheetah. There's no such thing as a lazy cheetah. Cracks me up. So yeah, I agree. Because there's a lot of directors that use the same actors over and over, because they know that you deliver the goods. Like every time, I'm sure you worked with multiple directors. The directors multiple times. They're there because you're there, because they feel safe and they feel comfortable with you, and it takes pressure off them. I mean,
you're reliable, yeah.
Right, and you're responsible, you're reliable, you're always going to deliver. You're going to give a great show. You're going to do a great performance. It always happens, and that's why you always get the jobs. I mean, that's why you have such a great body of work. I love it.
I'd like to think so. Yeah, I mean, I think it's tenacity. It's just it's just sticking with it. I mean, I think it's not it's not a path for everyone. It really isn't. And I just I think if there was something else I could do, I probably would, because it's not easy, but I think it's one of those where you have to, it's really your only choice. It's like, hey, what else would I do? And I still don't know.
Everybody came in at the last minute. Well, how about this, Eden movie? I can't give you Dick Warlock's autograph, but I'm sure I could talk to Galen here, and I'm sure we can make it happen that we can get you a Galen Howard autograph, if that would be cool with you. Yeah, that would be all right with you.
Better than a kick in the pants, right? Yeah.
Right. So you can go ahead and, if you want to, Eden, you can go ahead and hold of me through Instagram, same as my channel here, and I will make it so that Galen will or a shout out video. I don't. Well, I'm sure.
Whichever works.
Yeah. Okay, so you'll get a shout out video, and you'll get an autograph from Galen Howard. How about that? All right. And Hobbs wants to know if you would come back. I hope that you would come back.
Yeah, no, this is great. I love talking about movies. I love all of that, man. It's great.
Yeah, this would be awesome. I don't know if you can put it on today, Eden. We'll have to work on something like that, but we'll see. But we'll see. Just get a hold of me. Through my Instagram, and we'll make it happen. Yeah, all right, everybody. I'm going to let our guests go because it is past our time. I want to thank you guys for coming out and showing up. And I'm noticing now that maybe I'm going to have to ask a question. I'm going to have to ask to see if I should push this back an hour, because this happened to me yesterday, right before at the end of the show. All of a sudden, everybody came in.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is just so I might have to start thinking about pushing this back for an hour.
We'll have to see. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
do people have any other questions? Or are we good? Or
oh no, I mean, if you have questions, you can. I mean, if it's all right with you, we can go
I
ahead
mean, I
and.
can, yeah. If yeah, I can stick around a little longer. I'm, but yeah, I can bounce anytime.
How about let's do 5 more minutes with our guest Galen.
Yeah.
If you guys have any questions, if you have any questions, go ahead and feel free to drop them in the chat, and Galen will answer them for you. Uh, so, do you ever get scared? Do any movies that you ever done? Have you ever been scared? Like when you watch a movie, like what type of movies do you yourself like to watch as a fan?
Oh man. Well, yeah, I scare very easily in horror films. I'm definitely like the one in the one in the theater, hiding behind his hands or under his shirt. That's for me, especially it's in if I'm in a darkened theater, like that, I completely surrender myself over. And I've made horror movies. I've acted in horror movies. I know I know all of that, but yeah, man, it's been a great year for horror movies. I was like I was very taken with things like Black Phone and what was it, Barbarian. I thought both I thought the both of
Yeah.
them so effective horror films, so incredibly original.
Did you
Uh,
get to watch? Did you get to see Watcher?
I haven't yet. No.
Oh man, I really want to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm all, I love, it's interesting, from, um, since I've, worked in more horror films, I've come to appreciate them more and really kind of gone back and watched all of the classics and a lot of the more, a lot of the cult fare, a lot of, so I have a much more appreciation for horror than I used to. But yeah, I think any of the major horror films, I'm usually the one I'm probably the most vocal one in the theater, the one who has to be shushed.
Okay, we got some questions. We do got questions. We Are you a collector of films or physical media? Do you have a film collection?
I do. It's funny because I'm I'm up at my old home in the Sacramento area, and I have just boxes of of DVDs. I have a couple boxes of like rare out of print VHS. I've so no, I'm very I do love physical media. I have a lot of vinyl, and that sort of thing. I think I love the tactile sense of physical media. I love having I love being able to have the thing in your hands. I think for whatever reason, I've been able to you know, pass on a lot of like my CDs and things like that. But like a vinyl record or even like a DVD with with the full booklet and everything else. And I think and things like that, and having that physical media in your hand, I think is just I do love the convenience of streaming, but there is nothing like having that physical media in your hand.
Let's see. And Eden mentions he liked Halloween Ends.
Oh yeah.
Lazy Cheetah says, "Will we ever see more American Nightmare episodes or seasons?"
Oh yeah, that was yeah. I don't know. That is American Nightmares was a movie I did with Rusty Cundiff and Darren Scott, who did the horror classic Tales from the Hood, and that they did American Nightmares, which was kind of a horror anthology of the same ilk, the kind of kind of socially conscious kind of horror tales, and everything with kind of a with kind of a social justice message in kind of embedded in there. And their kind of horror is so original, and I hope they do more of that. I know they since then they did two Tales from the Hood sequels, And so I hope they do more of that anthology horror, because it's, I think they do such a good job with it.
Let's see. Yeah, I would like to see those. I think Universal put those out.
Well, yeah, Universal put those out. Yeah, I mean, the first Tales from the Hood is still my favorite. I think that's up there with the greats. I would put that up in the top 5. Next to like Creep Show and others. I think that's that's brilliant.
High praise indeed.
Yeah.
Mark the Shark's in the house. Hello, Mark. How are you? Everybody says Eden says he collects Blu-rays and DVDs. We definitely all do here. That's for sure.
Awesome.
Let's see. Our dude mentions, yeah, nothing beats physical media. Hell yeah, I'm with you there. I'm with you there.
Cool.
So yeah.
Yeah. You've got I've seen your post. You've got a pretty good physical media collection.
Yeah, mine's fun. Mine's it's not I guess not the super fancy boutique one, but I find a lot of treasures out there. I get out there and I'm more of a bargain collector. If I can find
too. I definitely do that. Yeah. I'm more of that. I'm more of that too. So it's more kind of I collect things a little more willy nilly, but
I have one guilty pleasure. I collect ISC Midnight films, and that's
cool.
probably my. Oh yes, ISC Midnight's the bomb.
Yeah.
So I got about 260 of those, and that's probably the one real passion that I have. So yeah. Oh, thank you guys for all coming in. I appreciate it so much. Tomorrow night we'll be talking with screenwriter Richard Pierce. So this young man, check this out, Galen. This young man, you know how screenwriters are, right? It's hard to sell one. Right? You write a screenplay, it's hard to get one in through the door. Unless you're well known. Shane Black, somebody like that. But this young man wrote and sold 6 last year. 6.
Wow.
That is a lot of screenplays.
That's awesome.
That is a lot. I don't know very many people that could actually just crank them out like that and get them picked up. So I'm very excited to talk to him.
Well, that'll be cool.
Maybe one of his screenplays will land on your desk.
Well, with a track record like that, that's awesome.
He does everything. He does anything from horror to drama to suspense. He's just a young cat who's really skilled. He'll be here with us tomorrow, and he'll be here with us tomorrow at 8:00. And then, that'll be a lot of fun. I'm definitely gonna have to rethink my starting time here. This is absolutely crazy. Thank you guys to the chat for coming out. This is great. We're on at 8:00 at Eastern time. But do me a favor, if you guys like to see this show start at 9 p.m., leave a comment down in the comment section. If 9:00 is a better start time for you guys, let me know. I would definitely like to see the feedback on this, because this is like the second day in a row that this has happened. And this is a lot of fun. But Galen, stay right where you're at. To everybody else, thank you so much for coming out. I hope I see some of you guys tomorrow. If you haven't subbed to the channel, please consider giving us a sub, and we appreciate that. We're on our way to 1,000 followers, 1,000 subs. So anyone that we can get, that'd be awesome. Thanks so much for coming out, and we will check you tomorrow. Peace.